Hey guys, it's TF now. Welcome back to the channel, and today for the second day of Anime Week here on the channel when it comes to reviewing some anime figures, I am doing the review for the very old but more recent to me SH Figuarts Bandai Machinations Dragon Ball Super Broly movie Super Saiyan Broly full power version. Very glad to finally have this in my collection. Got this from Big Bad Toy Store. I had the armored Broly for a good while, and since I missed out on this one, I thought that I was going to be okay, having that version. But now that I do have this one, I am very glad to finally have it, because I really liked that movie when it came out, and I always wanted to get this figure. It's very cool. Just giving you a quick look at all the images here of the packaging, because this figure has been out for a while. I want to speed through some of this parts of the review, especially the packaging portion for something that a lot of you probably have by now. So let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. Here's Broly out of the packaging, and oh man, this is a really nice figure, but there are some really bad joint QC issues on my particular figure that make me afraid of even moving some of the joints in a simple manner. We'll get to that in a second. Let's take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a closer look at the figure. SH Figuarts figures usually come with an instruction manual. This one's no different. It's a little bit wider than normal ones. It shows off how to use some of the different accessories and how to avoid paint rubbing when using some of the articulation. Other than that, these are accessories you see here. I think this price is a little steep for what you get, which is 2 extra faceplates and 2 extra sets of hands. 1 extra faceplate would have been nice. I have one where it was probably just gritting teeth but angry. As you can see with this one, this is gritting teeth but a smirk, and I do think it looks good. There's lots of great details in the face with the scrunching of like the wrinkles around his eyebrows to make it look like he's actually, his eyebrows are, pointing downward and whatnot. So, no problems there. And I do think that the paint on the eyebrows, as well as right here on the sideburns, even in details with paint in the ears, are really good too. You can get to the actual mouth, which has some really good teeth and lip color going on in there, as well as you can see the separation of the teeth with the paint scar on the face. And you also have some nice sculpted wrinkles, creases, I should say, when he's smiling. I think that's done really well. You also have this screaming face here. This one's done really well too. I like the color they have in the open mouth, as well as the tongue, and it looks like there's no teeth bleeding onto the, the color of the teeth bleeding onto the tongue and vice versa. So that's good. You can see similar. It looks like there's better paint in the ears on this one. I could be wrong. No, they're about the same, but they're still both good. Similar in approach, but there's some more shading, I think, in the eyebrows on this one here. So those look good. Other than that, we have these wider, sprawled out hands for doing certain attacks. You can see actually really nicely detailed and sculpted fingernails, and it does feel like there's actual paint. Usually they feel like they're, it's not a bad thing that it feels like SH Figuarts hands are molded in a certain color, so you don't feel paint on them, but I can feel paint on these. Other than that, here is the type of plastic they're using, but definitely feels like there's some type of paint going on in the hands. So that's cool. And you have these a little bit more, slightly more scrunched hands. They're not much different from the hands I did show, but they look like they would be grabbing someone more. You can see some of the details in the palms. Again, I feel paint on these too. The fingernails, all that looks good. So I just feel like maybe a blast effect would have been, or an extra faceplate would have made this a little bit more worth it. Now, a big reason why I say I wish we had maybe an extra faceplate is because you cannot use the accessories from this Broly, of course. It's a much smaller character on the left, as you can see on the right. Part of me thinks that they are upscaled just details and parts of the body for the Broly on the right compared to the one on the left. Or, I think this one actually came out first, and then they downscaled it for this one. I think everything is completely new across the board. They maybe looked at how these legs were done and then maybe did some new molding for this. It just feels like there are parts that, they look similar, and but like certain shapes, like how wide things are, mostly like the feet and actually the thighs. It's kind of hard because the ear or whatever animal that was in the movie, I forgot. is covering his legs, but this looks wider to where it's like, yeah, this is not just a downscaled version. This is like a new sculpt here, which I think is good. So let's get a closer look, shall we? The face here, this is the neutral face. I think it looks really good. Very similar paint that we had with the previous hands I was showing off. I really like the greenish, yellowish. It's like a lime green hair here, and I want to talk about articulation later, but what I will already mention is there's a bit of a problem on mine. It feels like the neck peg system, which I'll go ahead and take the face and the hair off. That neck peg connected to the neck into the hair is super tight and like not naturally. If you had like, I guess, a Toyz Marvel Legends back in the day, and even some NECA figures now, where you just are trying to rotate, like, let's say the thigh or the upper arm right here, and it's so tight, it feels so gummy that it's going to break. That is a similar problem I'm having here, as well as in the upper bicep swivel on the left arm. I don't know if this was a problem persisting in the previous version, or if I just have some kind of dud, and I'm very nervous about using, you know, some of the articulation in shots I want to get with this guy because of that. And not only that, so this isn't that big of a problem because so far it hasn't proven itself to be, but this is a little loose in both shoulder joints. They do keep, I mean, I'm shaking them and you can see I'm moving them, you know, I can move them a little too easily, but they will keep a pose. Well, the higher it goes, it kind of wants to droop down a little bit, but it still can keep a pose. So that's not that big of a problem. That's something I did want to mention, though. But yeah, I have tightness in the joints in places that are just way too tight, and it doesn't feel supernatural, and things are going to break. Other than that, oh man, this is such a beautifully shaded figure. There's actually good paint and shading on this figure. Sometimes I just feel like I can't tell what's painted on an SH Figuarts and what's sculpted. You could definitely tell, you know, different creases in the muscles. My computer's restarting, sorry about that. You can just tell in the muscles that there is some paint definition just going on, and it looks really good. There's a different darker tone in some of the creases compared to the lighter tones. You have the bracers right there. Yeah, the armbands. Not entirely sure what those are. Here are the fists. Those look good. They are detailed pretty well. I mean, when his hands are clenched together, really all you can see is the thumbnail, but that still looks really good. There is actually paint. I guess I don't know what is molded and what's painted. I mean, this whole thing seems like the same, like, sculpt here, like nothing they had to like bridge together, like piecing wise, because there's paint here, and then there's paint all the way here, but then this is molded in this color. So I don't know why. I mean, it's consistent, so, you know, it's just kind of obvious it's painted. Sometimes it doesn't blend in with this, but I can't tell right now, so oh well. Wasn't really a nitpick to begin with. Just something I wanted to mention. We do have some nice scars on the chest, looking really good. There's a lot going on here. Lots of great musculature in the ribs, abs, pecs. Some scars on the stomach. Some scars on the arms. Again, I cannot rotate this for some reason. I wonder if Big Bad Toy Store will try to hook me up with a replacement if something bad happens to this soon. Unfortunately, I have a feeling. There's even shading on the back. Sometimes some companies, Hasbro, doesn't want to paint anything on the back or shade anything. This company, no. They went all out with the shading on the back when it comes to the skin tone. That looks really good. Lots of nice musculature in these separate plastic pieces that are in the chest. It's just looking really good with all those muscles. And then we get down to the finally done talking about the upper torso. This, you know, what he wears around his waist, which is, you know, the ear of what, I forget what the name of the animal was. But, you know, the inside, it just is molded in this off-white color. I'm not sure exactly what color it is, but there's not really that much shading in there, which is fine because you have some, well, it's mostly molded in green. There's really no paint, but the sculpting in the fur looks really good all the way around. They have a little tie right here that's painted really well. A little bit of very tiny bit of a, I don't know what's going on there. If that's something from the plastic, it's just a little too noticeable. But it's still, I think it still looks fine. The muscles in the upper thighs, all of this looks really good. It's just mostly molded in this purple color. We get down to the boots. You have the nice black and white around there, and you do have the nice white on top of the feet. There's even some lines sculpted on top of the green, which has some nice paint there too. There looks like there's no paint splotches there. And there's the back. I forgot to mention, show off what the back looks like with all the legs right there. And this, yeah, you'll want to be careful moving these, moving this around, because this looks like it's going to rub up on the purple. So you'll want to pay close attention when you're moving the ear around. The bottom of the feet right there, or a not very detailed bottom, but I think that's accurate. Yeah, so I still need to get my rotating base, but this thing is really huge, and trying to get a 360 is going to be a little difficult, but it looks really good. So that's the most positive thing about my particular figure here, is that I have no problems with how this looks. I don't think I gave a good 360 close-up of the hair. So here's a quick look. I think it's nicely sculpted with the lines in the hair and all the spikes, but it's mostly molded in this like shiny lime green color. And it looks fine. I just wish maybe there was a little bit better paint in there. Let's hope I don't have any problems when it comes to this part. Oh boy, this would be bad if this broke right now. It looks like we have, I took off the faceplate earlier to show off how that peg looked. It actually is doing okay. It's still pretty tight though. But we do have that ball joint going into the body. It allows for a really good down motion. The hair, just and the fact that its neck is so thick, does not allow for back motion in the head, unfortunately. The tilt is also not amazing. Rotation's okay. So, head articulation's a bit disappointing just because of how bulky he is. We do have these ball joints. I'm not exactly sure. I guess this is just a separate piece that they've put in here, and then they stick this peg for the ball joint in there. So, you get a butterfly joint type motion. It goes up and down. And this it wants to pivot a little bit. The arms are a little bit of a struggle when it comes to moving them up and down. But you do get outward motion. You do rotate all the way around, so there's that. And then you have upper arm swivel, which is fine on this side. Double jointed elbows, which bends over 90, so that's fine. Ball jointed hands too. We don't have the standard wrist articulation here, and it's a little limited because of that. We have a ball jointed waist at both areas, in the chest and at the actual waist. So, it swivels all the way around, up and down, side to side. Not great articulation here, but it's better here. And that is really tight. Oh boy. So, yeah, you get all this different range of motion because of that. And that is a horrible sound. I'm done doing that. We do have a hinge here for this earpiece, which push that back in. And we do have legs that can go forward. They kick out almost all the way out, but they're a little bit hindered because of the ear. And then they want to go back a little bit, so that's good. But we do have perfect splits, so I can't complain there. Upper thigh swivel, double jointed knee, swivel at the ankle, which is a little bit, actually it's not that hindered. Up and down is pretty decent. The ankle pivot is not great because it's also a little hindered. It's actually not too bad. And then we do have toe hinge. I don't think I need that many figures for the size comparison here. So on the left, that is the Ultra Instinct Goku, and on the right, that is the armored version of Broly, both from the SH Figuarts line. This guy is super tall, almost twice the size as a standard SH Figuarts figure. Actually, Goku is usually a little bit shorter than some standard ones. But yeah, he's pretty tall. I thought the armored Saiyan version was tall, but yeah, this one here is super tall. Overall, there are a lot of good things about this figure, and I'm finally happy to have it in my collection. It's just that my particular figure has some tight joints to where I'm afraid to move it in certain poses. So that's a bit worrisome. I haven't given an SH Figuarts figure the hot water treatment, so I don't know if that's going to help. We're going to have to wait and see what's going on with my particular figure here. I really hope nothing breaks. But other than that, this has some really great details, especially the shading and the muscles. I think it's a great looking figure with nice sculpting. Pretty good paint in the top half of the figure besides the hair, which, I mean, the hair looks good. There's just not that much paint in there. Bottom half is fine. It's just mostly molded purple and some painted parts like the black and the white of the boots. It is a really nicely detailed, pretty good articulated figure, even for how bulky it is. I just wish it came with more accessories, like some effects pieces or maybe an extra faceplate. That really would have helped the price point of this figure, because it is pretty expensive. But if you liked Dragon Ball Super Broly and you needed the full power version, or if you missed out on the one that came out years ago, you now have a better alternative here. It's a little bit more affordable, and that was recently re-released. I'll leave some links down in the description below if you need to get this. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share them with extra friends, follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later. And surely enough, after finishing this review and trying to take some photos, if I can focus in on that. Can you see that? That is the plastic literally hanging on by a thread by me barely turning the head. Extremely disappointing.